G'day viewers, it's hard to believe it's been over 12 months since we set up my temporary catfish tank in the lounge room. Who could forget all the fun we had putting that one together, and especially making those beer bottle lights. Lots of fun and a few headaches as well. But it's been over 12 months, so time for a bit of an update. We'll see the plants have grown, my waistline has grown. Now let's have a look and see how the fish have grown.
Now, for those of you who don't know, this was a temporary tank set up in my lounge room to babysit a few of my mates' L600 Leopard Cactus Plecos. And I'll include the build video for it down below and at the end. So this is what it looked like 12 months ago, all set up. Now pay particular attention to that big log, how high it goes up one side and how far it comes down the front there, because we'll get to that in a moment. But anyway, here's where we left off 12 months ago. And this is what it looks like yesterday when I filmed this. And you could see that main log, it's moved down because the catfish like to get underneath and dig all the substrate out and undermine it, and the whole thing's moving towards that right hand side of the tank. But anyway, a few months ago I decided to change the plants around a little bit. Those parlor palms were getting a bit big and a little bit ratty, so I decided to pull those two big palms out, and then I replaced it with a Monstera adansonii, which is the little Swiss cheese plant or the monkey face plant, and another smaller parlor palm. And so there's the little Monstera there, trying to grow up the gantry for the light, and there's our little parlor palm, and this is what the rest of the plants look like. So let's have a bit of a look and see how they're going today.
And now that the Monstera has grown up, and then it grew back down, and it goes all the way around the other side of that tank, and then comes down here all the way to there. Now I've already pruned it a couple of times to get some cuttings off it, and it's got very small leaves with a very long distance between those nodes because it's growing along. And now if I had it growing up towards a decent light, those leaves would be a lot bigger, which is what I plan on doing in the new fish room. So now the maidenhair fern, have a look at that, it's going crazy. It'd grow for a bit, then it'd really die off. You can see a heap of dead leaves down there. Then it'd take off again, but now it's going great guns. Even though there's not a lot of humidity in this room, but it still seems to be going pretty well. The spider plant's ticking along all right. Ideally, I should have some more light up there for these plants, because everything grows towards that light. And the peace lily or spathiphyllum, they flower all the time, which is pretty, but it does make a mess. And there's our little parlor palm there. So as far as the plant side of things, everything's ticking along very well. So let's have a look at the tank. Now the tank is a bit of a bugger to film during the day in this room with all these reflections, so I think we might come back tonight for a look.
And so only a few hours later, it's night time, we don't have all those room reflections. And you can see the log has really moved to the right. Those catfish have done their job. They grab a piece of food, get in underneath the log and just dig like crazy. They bury themselves and sit down there and have their dinner there. Alright, this is what it looks like. So let's check out the fish. This is the footage from 12 months ago, because a tank as lovely as it looks, if you've only got a few catfish that never ever come out, it was pretty boring. So for point of interest, something for me to look at, and also to help the catfish feel more comfortable, I added my school of black neon tetras, which looked very cool in this black water setting with that subdued lighting. But even just the one species got a little bit boring. So Fast forward and we've added a few more. So let's go through and I'll tell you all about what we have in there now. So first off, a big tank like this was just absolutely crying out for a schooling fish, and we all know the best schooling fish is these rummy nose tetras, which are fantastic. It's like a big racetrack for them. They just go round and round and round this end log, and at times they school very, very tightly, and it's fantastic to watch. And as most people know, some might not, they're a very good indicator for the health of the tank, because the more red their rummy nose is, the healthier they are. Once they get stressed, they get very pale, and it means that the tank isn't as good as it could be. So it's time to look at that. But beautiful, beautiful fish, especially in this tank. And next up is one of my all-time favorite and one of the most underrated fish in the aquarium hobby, and that would be the Pristella or X-ray tetra. These guys look fantastic in here, and that little bit of yellow on the fins and the red tail really stands out against all the blandness of the wood and things. They are just fantastic. I love them. And I put my little school of Glowlight tetras that I had in my other black water tank. They've gone in here as well. And even under just the LED downlights, no flash fancy lights, that red stripe really stands out. And what would be a blackwater river style tank without the ubiquitous Cardinal tetras? And I don't really need to say anything about them, do I? They just look fantastic. They really stand out, and no matter where you look in the tank, your eyes are drawn straight to them, and they're just endemic in the Amazon system. So whatever biotope area you're going for, chances are it's going to contain cardinals, and they look fantastic in this tank, and they do tend to stick together fairly well as a little group in here, which I think that makes them look even better. Now, as lovely as these little tetras are, this tank was set up to house some plecos. So let's go check out some plecos. Right, so the three big ones went in first while the tank was still under construction, and these were the last two little guys that we had growing out in another tank. And here they are. They're probably about 2 to 2.5 inches long. And there's them going in there now, and you can see the tank still setting up. I had sponge filters and things just to make sure our cycle was good. But in those little fellas went. And here is one of those little fellas now, and he's pushing 8.5 inches at least. So he's all grown up, and he's only the baby of the tank. Here's the big fella here, and he comes out in the afternoon when I walk past the tank, and he just stares at me waiting to be fed. He gives me these big puppy dog eyes and makes me feel guilty because I haven't fed him all day. But considering I didn't even know for months whether any of these catfish were actually alive, for this guy to be out all the time is a real treat. Now here's the fun part. We're going to do some feeding. So I've just fed the tetras first, and as soon as the food hits the water, these guys begin to stir. Now this fella's sitting out at the front ready for action, and once those wafers start dropping down, all his buddies come out to join the party. This is very cool to watch. And in honour of this update video, we have a rare sighting of all 5 out at the same time. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How cool is that? And as I said before, for a long time, I didn't even know if I had any And then for a while I'd see one, then I'd see two, but I never ever saw five. And then occasionally now we get to see all five all at the same time. Now viewers, I believe that aquariums are a lot like children. Everybody has a favourite, but nobody wants to admit it. But I'm not afraid to admit that at the moment this is probably my favourite aquarium that I have. Not particularly because it has my favourite fish or anything, which it actually doesn't, but I just really love this whole natural feel, and you get to watch the fish in their natural behaviour, particularly when things like you'll see the catfish will get in and stir the substrate up, so the tetras will flock to it and start picking through the detritus floating through the water and things like that. And I just really, really love this natural feel. But as I said, this tank was temporary, so it won't be here forever. And I'm not 100% sure whether the tank itself will make its way out to the new fish room. But the inhabitants and the setup definitely will, but probably in a much larger version. But it'll be definitely some sort of Amazonian biotope, and it will have all of these fish in there. So I've probably bored you long enough. And as I always say, if you like leaving likes, leave a like. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
What?
I do my own stunts.
Yeah.